everyone. I'm really excited to share this project from last month. So I've been wanting to do Airbnb for a while. Reason because my husband and I really love like weekend getaways and just like traveling for just a weekend, looking for a place to stay, getting away for just change of scenery. And then one of the pain points is that it's always hard to find good and nice places to stay, especially last minute. So we were looking at places that we like to go, like Whidbey Island, Camano Island, Leavenworth, or even Olympics, and trying to find properties that we can go to as personal enjoyment for a weekend, as well as great cash flow investment. Sorry, that great in the second was supposed to be great cash flow and great investment. So we came across this in June. This is on Whidbey Island, and we had a pretty narrow focus. So up north, there are a bunch of islands, but there are only two that we picked. One is Whidbey and one is Camano. And the reason is that those two islands you can drive to pretty easily, especially Camano. And Whidbey, you do have the ferry option too, but the driving just adds more flexibility. So you're not bound by ferry schedules and have to wait in line for an hour and 2 hours. So that was one area. And then this guy popped up. It's a property on, if you click on that Airbnb link, you'll see where approximately it is. It's on a high cliff, so it's on a high bank property. It's not waterfront. It doesn't have any beach access, but the main point is the view. So it's right next to the ocean. It's upon a 200 feet bluff. So there's nothing in your way between you and the ocean view. So I think in person, it looked so much nicer than when it was on picture. Like I think Nick and Brian and the girls went to see it with me. And then the moment we walked in, we're just like, this is fantastic. And the price point is pretty sweet. So I had some stats listed on the slide as well. So we put an offer down, and then so the purchase price was a little less than $290, was $289.9, which I thought was super reasonable because I think there's a lot of low bank property there for like $600K, $650K. It's really nice for sort of personal second home, but it's just if you use it for an Airbnb in return, like the return isn't as high because you're not gonna get twice as much rent from it. So I did some calculation, and this one has a pretty good return. So it closed in July. We took 2 weeks off to get it all furnished, put a hot tub in because I think that's really a selling point, and then put it on the market in mid-August, and it has been fully booked ever since. So it's all the way booked till end of October. And even November is half booked already. Although recently it's been very unfortunate. The smoke situation, the view is pretty much gone. So I have to deal with some cancellation. But yeah, I can quickly run through the numbers. Bought it for $390K. Didn't do any structural improvements. The house has recently been updated. It was owner occupied before, so it's actually in pretty great shape, which is very lucky for me. So all the floor, all the counters, everything looks great. So all that furnished and improved for $25K is all furnitures and the hot tub, which costs quite a bit. And then for annual cash flow, a lot of this is estimate because this has only been running for a month and a half. So I've had it down there. Average nightly rate of 180, assuming 60% occupancy. I don't know if that really is going to play out on average. I mean, in summer, it's pretty much all, like you can expect very high occupancy, like close to 100% for 3-4 months. But the winter is probably going to drop to 50 or even lower. I guess we'll see. Nikki can also chime in to see like how your Airbnb is doing in Camano, because you've been through a winter, I think. And then property tax and insurance. And then for Airbnb, you do pay utilities and all that. So you do pay utilities and all the supplies, depending on what amenities you provide. So just throw those in. It's still a pretty sweet ROI. So that's pretty much about this property. The link is there if you guys wanted to check it out, and we can talk later if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, by the way, we would love this to be a, how to say, a open discussion. So if you have any questions throughout it's not a presentation, that's what it meant to be. Any question, please ask, and then so we can all discuss, right? So that's the goal of this. If some of you have experience running Airbnb in the Pacific Northwest, in different islands, have different experience. Like for example, for me, our Airbnb, it's also in Camino Island, and I really like it. Go back to what Eva said, actually, I have run it for over a year now. At first, I thought the winter time would be very bad, but it turned out it's not bad at all, actually. It's all, I can share mine so people can see as well. So I use the Porter app to do Airbnb because it automate a lot of stuff.
That's super important. Like, because you don't want to be setting all kinds of alarm to remind you to send messages, and that's not the intent of doing this. Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, today or tomorrow is somebody checking out. Tomorrow, actually, me and Brian's checking in, but actually we're not checking in. We're going on a Friday, but I saved one more day just in case. And then so everything is automated, the tasks, everything, the messaging, when the people book, when people check out. And then this is my booking calendar. Like it's pretty much all booked every single day. This is September, this is October, this is November, it's like half booked. And this is December, more than half booked. So the winter time is actually not bad at all, to my surprise.
And this is so far out still, people are still gonna book.
Oh yes, people are still booking. And what I realized, there are two types of this kind of short-term travelers. One type is they plan so much ahead. There are so many people asking me to open up for next year. At the same time, there's also, it's the last minute. They always look for next weekend where to go, next weekend where to go. So it's a week out. So it's actually very interesting to invest in Airbnb, especially during the COVID. I realized there are actually more people have the needs like this to travel. Like just got a cancellation today about October 2nd to 4th. They say their family just going through so many things they need to cancel. Within 30 minutes, and other people just filled it in, the spot. So it's actually going really fast. Yep.
Hi, Echo. You got your hand raised. Just go ahead and unmute and chime on in.
Yeah, I do have questions. How do you get us so fully booked? What kind of the marketing strategy, or how do you promote it?
I think I honestly didn't do much. I did invest a little bit upfront to get nice photos. So I think that's really important. I don't trust my iPhone photo taking skills, and so the photos are definitely one. And then amenities, I think on the island, especially with this view, I thought long and hard about whether to get a hot tub in and decided to buy the bullet. It's not cheap, but I think it does help promote the place. And then I'm a dog owner. I love dogs, so I'm willing to offer a pet-friendly place, although that does add cost to cleaning and everything. So I think the amenities speaks for itself. And then honestly, it's just the location. Like when people are searching for these places to stay for the weekend, depending on when they're booking, they're not a whole ton of choices. They're not really like comparing 10 or 20 places at once. They see something they like and everything's reasonable, they just book. So I honestly didn't do any marketing. I think the day the listing went up, it was like mid-August, and within an hour, I got August booked. So yeah, I didn't really do any.
I'd like to chime in real quick on Eva's point about location and pictures. I think those are the two strongest things you can do. Just like when selling a house, it's like self-marketing, right? When I help a person to sell a house, I don't go do any marketing other than make sure I have really good photos, make sure the place looks amazing, make sure I've done everything to make it look and appeal to as many people as possible. And you know, Airbnb does the rest, right? Just being on the Airbnb website is the exposure. And then secondly, the location. In Eva's case and in our case, we chose areas that were situated near to state parks that weren't heavily saturated with Airbnbs. And I think that's a good place to be, near attractions that aren't already heavily saturated. So you kind of have to do your own research in your own local market that you're looking for your Airbnb to know where those places are. But I would stay away from investing in an Airbnb in a place where it's already full of Airbnbs, because then you have a ton of traffic and a ton of things to choose from. And then you end up dropping your price because there's so much competition. So location, lack of Airbnbs in that location, and yes, awesome pictures. I think that usually does the trick. And we actually took our own pictures. They could be better. But once we got some great reviews, I think that helped as well. Again, Airbnb will do the marketing for you if you present a really nice place that people enjoy, and then you get the good reviews. And you can, of course, we all know you can do things to encourage good reviews. So, yeah.
I can't agree more. It's like the strategy up front is to lower the price. When we list around 160. Now the price is way up, $219. Actually, on the weekends is over $300. So but once you get good review, and then you're on the Airbnb, because at the end of the day, the power is all at the consumer side, because the technology put the information is more transparent, right? It's not like some people are controlling of this information. So once you are super host, when you have a lot of good reviews, and then for example, when people search it, yours will show up first. For example, the Porter app, they will have the Airbnb ranking. They'll constantly tell me how I rank on Airbnb. That's when it's like Google SEO, whether you are on the top, right? So here it tells me I'm number 1 in the Camino Island all the time on September 12th. So that's why that's one of the goal. It's like, for example, if you're going to Camino Island, just search, and then I just don't want to put anything. And search, you see what they come up, see? That's the first one.
Nice.
So that's what you want it to be. But how to build it, you make it, the price is lower, and then the process really, really need to be automated. You cannot just all the time, because in that case you fail, right? We are human, we make mistakes. So you need a system like the Porter app to help you to constantly automate stuff.
I can't agree more. It's,
Yeah.
I'm still on page 4. I'm climbing up.
Whidbey Island is also way bigger, right? It's different. Camino is small, Whidbey Island is bigger. So anyway. And at first I all aimed for 5-star, and then I realized it's impossible to all be 5-star. So, but 4.97 is not bad. You just take 1, not 5-star, to knock you out of the 5-star.
You can't make everyone happy.
How do you encourage all their reviews? And Brian was saying getting a lot of reviews is good.
Eva, you want to share?
That's a good point. I think I've been like incredibly lucky too, because all the guests stay so far, like every single one of them. I had like 13 stays so far. All of them left reviews. This is what I do. Well, obviously a good experience would prompt them to write something nice about it because they enjoyed it so much. So that's number 1. Like, you want it to create a good experience. And then second is, after they check out, like a few hours after, I always send them a message, automated, of course, that thanks for them, thanking them to stay. And then I ask them to leave a 5-star review if they felt they had a 5-star experience. And I ask them, if you feel anything less than that, let me know what I can improve. So like, you kind of want to avoid sort of just angry 1-star review, because usually when you say that, they would talk to you about what they don't like. And then if everything went well, you want to put that 5-star review idea in their mind. So that's the only thing I do, is to send them a little nudge, like after they check out.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah, and there's a lot of information online about answering this exact question. If you just Google like how to get a good review, there's a million people out there that'll tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And I wanted to point out also that Eva is not a seasoned investor. She has not been doing this at all. And this was her first property. And I think it's good for new investors. Actually, this could be a really profitable way to go about your first investment property. And I think it's attractive because as an investor or a wannabe investor who's never done it before, you actually have more time to invest in your investment because you're not managing or dealing with all these other properties, and you don't totally hate tenants yet. So it's a good place to start, actually. And if you get the right place in the right location, you can actually make a good chunk of change off these, and then parlay that into your next investment, whether it be a single family home or a multifamily home. So some people think, oh, well, that's for the seasoned investor, someone who knows what they're doing. And Eva proved that that's just not the case. It can be your first investment and be very good and actually you faster than trying to buy a single family or a multifamily home. And you don't have to deal with long-term tenants. So good job, Eva.
Thanks.
I have a question. So compared to normal rental investment, what is the difficulties you deal with Airbnb?
I think it's the trade-offs. It's all I think a lot of things are just trade-offs. This might be great cash flow, but it does require more hands-on work, especially at the beginning, to set everything up, and then especially maintaining good reviews at the beginning, because when you have a few reviews, one bad review really drags the average down. So you want to really pay attention in the first few months or first year, really build that brand up. Whereas for long term, the ROI might be like 5%, 6%. It might not be like great. But if you work with GPS renting, you can be like entirely just hands off. Like you don't have to worry about anything. So I think it's a trade-off, I think.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I'm new to investment as well. So maybe my question is dumb, but do you need to afford a lot to like clean after each guest? I see you put like 40,000 utility and 1,000 for supplies. Does that include the regular cleaning fee and other like maintenance fees?
That's a great question. I actually get that question quite often. I had to like explain to my mom how Airbnb works, because what a lot of people don't realize is if you go book an Airbnb, right, there's room charges for like $150 per night, and then you get a cleaning fee charge. So thanks, Nick. If you go to if you book these, so you'll see there's a nightly rate, and there's a cleaning fee, there's a service fee, there's an occupancy tax fee. So the fees, the service fee, and then the tax are collected by Airbnb, so that they collect it for me. It has nothing to do with me. The cleaning fee is something I imposed on. So I have a cleaner who comes in after each guest checkout, clean everything, wash and dry everything, and then basically turn the place over to what it originally is before the next guest checks in. So she charges $90. So I pretty much just pass that cost on to guests. So as you can see, I charge guests $99. So I actually make $9 out of cleaning. And then there's other add-on too, like if you bring pets, then I normally charge an additional pet fee. The cleaner also charges initial pet fee, so that pretty much cancels out. So that's why I didn't include it in the cost, because it's actually a pass through to the guest. Now you'll also see some Airbnb without cleaning fee, and that's usually the owner who goes and cleans themselves, and they wanted to save a bit of money, because no cleaning fee does help getting places booked, especially if you book one night. The cleaning fee, makes everything more expensive. But the cleaning fee is per stay, so even if you stay 5 nights, it's still $99. So.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Does Airbnb have any differences in the tax, like compared to investment, a rental investment house?
So that tax you see there, that's sort of the occupancy tax that you pay by providing the service, and Airbnb just collects that and passes it on to the government. Has nothing to do with me. I do pay income tax though from the earnings that I make, so that's sort of normal, as similar to rental income.
Yeah, I can jump in a little bit. We're not a CPA, but I can share. If you don't provide additional services, like if you don't have, but so far from my understanding, talking to my CPA, like our Airbnb don't provide shuttle service, don't provide meal service. In that case, it's exactly the same as our other long-term rental investing. So however, if we start provide those services, we become hotel, we become business, and that's way more complicated. So my CPA recommend me never provide those additional services.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Good point.
Any other questions before we go on? Okay. Any other last thing you want to talk about, Eva, or I think it's all good?
I think I'm all good.
Okay, great. Thank you.